The Book of Mistakes by Karina Lukin. It started with one mistake. Making the other eye even bigger was another mistake. But the glasses, they were a good idea. The elbow and the extra long neck, mistakes. But the collar, ruffled with patterns of lace and stripes, that was a good idea. And the elbow patches, they were a good idea too. The bush was another good idea, dark and leafy so that you couldn't see through it. To the frog, cat, cow thing, another mistake. The big space between the ground and the bottom of the girl's shoe was a little bit of a mistake too. But the roller skates, those were definitely not a mistake. The second frog, cat, cow thing made a very nice rock, and the girl with the very long leg looks like she always meant to be climbing that tree. Even the ink smudges scattered across the sky look as if they could be leaves, like they'd always wanted to be lifted up and carried. And what about the girl? Do you see how with each mistake she is becoming? Do you see now who she could be? When interviewed and asked why she wrote the book, Karina Lukin said, "For years, I drew with pens because I liked the fluid feel of ink on paper. I liked how, with pen, a line can take on a life of its own. But often, that life would lead to shapes and marks I hadn't intended and couldn't erase. Because I loved to draw and loved to draw with ink, I learned to deal with those accidents. If I messed up something in a face, I'd add glasses. If I didn't like the way I'd drawn a hand, I might add gloves. And somewhere along the way, I learned to enjoy how each mistake forced me to find a new way of looking at the world. And I began to wonder if celebrating mistakes was something that could be taught. In my years working as both a teaching assistant and artist in resident in elementary schools, I started to notice a pattern. In every class, there would be one or two kids who, within minutes of starting to draw, were raising their hand asking for another piece of paper. They didn't like what they were seeing. They wanted to start over. They wanted to make it perfect. It became my job to help them see possibility in that mistake, to see how they could keep going and transform their drawing or painting into something they still might love.